Everything's coming full circle, man. So Toy Story 2, 20 years ago, was the first movie I ever got to see in a theater. And now 20 years later, I'm watching Toy Story 4. Emotions are high. I can't wait to go see this movie. Let's go check it out. What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the much anticipated sequel to the Toy Story trilogy. This is Toy Story 4. I need your comments down below. Let me know, were you anticipating this movie and did it pay off? Let's talk Toy Story 4. So Woody has always been confident about his place in the world and that his priority is taking care of his kid, whether that's Andy or Bonnie. But when Bonnie adds a reluctant new toy called Forky to her room, a road trip adventure alongside old and new friends will show Woody how big the world can be for a toy. So I was very much anticipating this film, obviously, but as many others were, I was a bit hesitant, right? Because the first three movies, they mean so much to me personally, and I know they mean so much to literally most people. I'm not going to say everyone, because I do know some people that don't love the Toy Story movies. If I have to admit it, I'm going to right now. Don't tell her I said this. My wife, she doesn't love the films, right? She enjoys them, she likes them, but she doesn't hold them the way that I hold them right next to my heart, correct? The first Toy Story came out the year I was born. The second Toy Story, like I said in my intro, it's the first movie I ever saw in a theater. And then the third one, it's the first movie I saw in IMAX, so that was cool, but it was the perfect ending for all of these characters. In my opinion, at the time, it was the perfect ending to Woody and Buzz's story. And then we hear word Toy Story 4 is coming out, right? They're just milking the franchise, right? It's another Pixar sequel that's going to underwhelm, maybe disappoint. It's going to do well at the box office, but that's why they're doing it. They're doing it to make money. And I had that mentality slightly, right? I still thought the movie would be good because it's Toy Story and they know these characters and it's Pixar. Never doubt Pixar. That's what I've learned, even though they've disappointed me once or twice. But overall, they consistently deliver, one of the most consistent studios in the history of anything. So I was a tad bit doubtful. Why are we doubtful? Because we hold these characters so close to our heart. I'm going to get right into it. Josh Cooley directed this film, and man, you can just tell this guy loves Toy Story. You can tell he freaking loves these characters because the level of nostalgia mixed with heart that goes into Toy Story 4, you start out in this film without spoiling a daggone thing. The music starts playing, you get a peek back into these characters, the movie starts out, there are some flashbacks happening towards the beginning, and you get a little insight into what was happening during certain time periods that maybe Toy Story 2 or 3 did not hit on, right? And as much as I did not think there were questions that needed answering at the end of Toy Story 3, this movie taught me that there were. Because there were certain relationships in Toy Stories 1 and 2 that weren't necessarily hit on in Toy Story 3, and then you get into Toy Story 4, and it starts answering questions that you never knew that you had. It starts bringing another element to Woody's character, and Woody is absolutely the focus. He is the main element of this story, and he always really has been. It's always been a Woody and Buzz story, and certain elements of some movies give Buzz the forefront, and then certain elements of other movies give Woody the forefront. This is absolutely 100% Woody's film. This is his story, right? Where his journey starts out, where he ends up at the end of this movie, it's completely about him. He is the focus, and who better to have as the focus of your film than Tom Hanks, who maybe gives his best, most honest, most real performance yet. You can tell he's getting a bit older, and he brings that older mentality into the character of Woody, and it works so well because you can tell Woody is weathered. He's been through it. He understands that maybe he found his place in the world at one point, but now he doesn't know where to go with himself. And as the Toy Story movies always do, they hit on those themes and those topics that animated movies, they just don't hit on nowadays. You have characters trying to find their place in the world. You have characters who don't feel wanted anymore, right? And all they need is companionship, to be loved by a child. And all of those elements are elements that have been in other Toy Story films, but it just felt different, right? This is a very different Toy Story movie from the other films, but when it comes to the score in this movie, by the way, guys, Randy Newman is back, baby, and it harkens back to all of the other films. I heard many elements of Toy Story 2 in this movie, as in music cues and certain moments. Just watching the movies last week, I had these sound effects and the noises and the songs in my head. They played a lot of Toy Story 2 music in this movie, and Toy Story 2, there's some iconic musical moments in that film, so it was really nice to hear. It was nice to harken back to those moments in this film, and I thought the score was incredible. The visuals in this film, oh my god, Toy Story, it's fantastic, almost perfect, but it's never been known for its photorealistic visuals, right? And I did take a bit of an issue in the first trailer, like, okay, they changed up the animation style. I don't know if I love that, but 5 minutes into this film, didn't care. And I loved it by the time we got to the end because the colors and the visuals, there are so many like freeze frame iconic shots in this movie that you can just capture and then frame, right? Expand it, frame it, because they are so beautiful. And this movie is just so well crafted, so beautifully made. Austin, how is the story? Was it worth coming back to this tired franchise at this point? Well, his franchise is not tired, right? This is a very interesting story because you bring in all of these new characters, and the main player here is Forky. And Forky was hilarious. Toy Story 4, at this moment, just coming out of the film, I can say it might be the funniest of all the Toy Story films. It may not be the most emotional, don't get me wrong, a lot of emotion in this film, right? It may not be the most heartfelt, that's in there as well, but the jokes were so great. Tony Hale as Forky is incredible. He is just this, I don't know what to do with my life, why am I alive? It's really creepy if you think about it. It's kind of veering on the horror territory, and there are so many moments in this movie that get close to horror. Certain dolls, certain elements about the villain, it's scary. A lot of this movie takes place in an antique store, and that is the prime place to bring in horror and suspenseful elements, and this villain is one of the best villains I have seen all year because you believe the villain, you understand where the villain comes from, but there's also that element that's like just super creepy, and I don't know why you've got to just back off. But Forky is wonderful. The return of Bo Peep is great. She is a main player in this movie, and it was so nice to see her back on screen. One of those unanswered questions. You get many questions answered about her character. Then you have Key and Peele, who have some of the best banter in the entire Toy Story franchise. They were hilarious. You can tell they went off script a bit, but that worked. Keanu Reeves as Duke Kaboom, Canada's greatest stuntman. Yeah, you cast Keanu Reeves for that reason. The guy wasn't in the movie as much as I wanted him to be, but every time he's on screen, he is great. Now, my only main complaint about the story is that we did not get as much focus on characters like Ham and Rex and Mr. Potato Head, but that's fine, right? Because Toy Story 3 really gave us a lot of those characters. They're in there and they're present, and you don't get upset that they're not taking up the entire film, but I would have liked to have seen more. I would have also liked to have seen more Woody and Buzz moments. You get them, and they're great, but maybe just a tad bit more of that as well. And I'm sitting there in a theater with a bunch of parents and kids, and the ending, it got me. I shed a couple of tears. And I can't name the last time an animated film made me feel that way, moved me to this degree. Toy Story 3 did it. Inside Out, I think, did it, but there are just so many moments in this movie that are so heartfelt, and you can just tell the people behind the scenes care about Woody, care about Buzz, gave all of these characters interesting dynamics, and the ending to this film is perfect. Not one thing wrong with it. So heartfelt, the use of everything, all of the technical elements. Guys, I freaking love Toy Story 4. I thought it was incredible. It blew me away because I was going into it with a bit of hesitation. Never doubt Pixar. They don't always deliver on this level, but when they do, it's fantastic. I'm giving Toy Story 4 a 95%. Loved the movie, loved everything it showcased, loved the emotion. First off, if you guys enjoyed this review, hit that thumbs up button. It helps out this channel. And if you would like to see a Toy Story movies ranked video, just the Toy Story films, so I can go a bit more in depth on why I love these movies and rank them from 1 to 4, right? If you guys want to see that, let me know. I was thinking about not doing it since I did the Pixar tier list, but if it's something you guys would like to see and maybe do some spoilers about Toy Story 4, I would love to do that for you guys. I will be back tomorrow morning with a Child's Play movie review, and I'll see you guys very soon.